It's 6 o'clock.
And they can go back
Let me
and
do
fire
this.
it again.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order, please. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Let's do a roll call. Alderman Smith.
Present.
Alderman Quinn.
Present.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
Awesome. Alderman Adrian.
Here.
All right. Alderman Simpson.
Present.
Present. I like that. Alderman Offland.
Here. Present.
The Offland. we have a quorum, folks. First thing on the agenda is the review and approval of the minutes for June 27, 2024. Should be tab 4.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 27, 2024 council minutes.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of June 27, 2024. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Next thing on the agenda is the mayor's report. First thing on the mayor's report is we're going to ask the board for approval to go out for an engineer of record. The purpose is for water treatment and wastewater treatment to have a engineering resource that we can engage as we move forward with whatever plans this board will eventually approve.
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
I love the idea. Are we limiting to treatment only? Could it be collection?
It's going to be water treatment and wastewater. I think we probably are both thinking the same thing. Can we get someone that does more than just that? And what I did is I contacted another professional engineer, and I threw in electric. I also threw in natural gas, and I was advised that because of the uniqueness of natural gas, you're not going to find anyone that does much more. All of it. We might find someone that do wastewater, water treatment, and electric, but we didn't format the request that way. We can change it.
Well,
if he wants to try to.
I just think that when you say treatment, it's only treatment. It's not the distribution lines. It's not.
And water treatment and wastewater, based on what I understand, I do not profess to be an expert, includes distribution.
Oh, it does? Does it, Craig? Would you say that?
I don't know. I mean, here we somewhat treat them separately. I mean, now we've got one person in charge of it all, but at different times the city has had separate departments for it.
Right.
But I mean,
but on the engineering side,
on the engineering side, I would consider them pretty comparable. Yeah.
I didn't want to hiccup later that said, oh, well, we have to replace all these distribution lines, but we don't have an engineer because he's just been on retainer for treatment, the treatment part of our water system.
Do we need to reword it and add distribution?
I don't mean to be picky.
I don't see that page.
Is this the water utility even?
The water utility? Would that include distribution?
Well, and here it does say at the top, city water treatment and wastewater.
Yeah.
So I would consider that as covering the entire,
Everything.
I mean, I think it
System.
covers system,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I would say it both, yeah.
I'm good with that then. I just didn't want to
Okay. Well, when we are reviewing qualifications and we have questions, that will perhaps be a good time to bring that up so that there's no confusion as to what they can provide for us. Is that fair? Okay. Because this is new to me.
Good question.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't mean to nitpick it, but I just.
No, but I think that's valid.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
'cause
it's
we'll
a
make sure our
technicality
lines-
down the
Yeah.
road can.
I think we can make that happen.
I think so.
I think we can clarify.
I think once it says the water utility, water.
Well, I tell you what, we haven't sent this out, it wouldn't take much to just put in and distribution just to cover all bases.
Well, I think she's right. I think they're all right. As long as it says water utility, I think
Yeah.
that includes, it's all encompassing.
Okay, good, we'll leave it alone. We will leave it alone. So, what I would like, to request the board to do, it would be to, approve a motion.
I'll approve a motion that, I guess basically we will approve it to allow the mayor to go out for a request, or
Well,
just to sit there?
just, yes.
I would put out RFQ.
I make a motion that we, to approve, we go out for RFQ basically, for a, engineering a record for our, water utility and wastewater system.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the motion to seek and engineer a record for water treatment and wastewater treatment. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve going out for an engineering of record. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion carries. We will make that happen. Next thing on my mayor's report, I want to add something to this. I don't know if I have to, but we received a request from Campbell's convenience store, and they offered something that caught my attention. I don't know how complex this is, and Danette and I had discussed this. We haven't discussed it in great length, so I'm not prepared to ask detailed questions. But we have a local company who their convenience stores only open from the hours you gave, which I can't remember, it was 7-Eleven or 8-11 or whatever it is. And yes, the convenience store is closed, but the pumps are still operational. Now, for the hours that they're open, they have offered to allow us to go in, get our gas, charge our gas, pay no interest. They provide a monthly invoice. And then if we have to get gas for any of our emergency vehicles or something, we would have to go get different, I use the phrase credit cards, because they don't accept Fuel Man. And after reviewing what it costs to use Fuel Man, there's certainly opportunities to save money. They are a local vendor. I don't know what the ordinances require from us relative to things like fuel, which you can get them anywhere. I get that, but if you have a vendor that's offering to let you walk in, charge it, sign a piece of paper, walk out, and save you interest based on the amount of fuel that we use, it may save some money. But I don't know what the process is that we need to go through in order to enable that. Do we have to go out for bids for fuel? And even if we do, then we would have to say we'd have to make it somewhat detailed.
I'm trying to remember what we've done in the past, because fuel prices change quite. There you go. We got a comment.
Zach's got a question.
So that is something that all of the emergency services here actually used to do, was use them directly. Then we switched to the Fuel Man. The reason that they were pushing for that was it would allow us to use other stores, as well as it would track usage. But I will point out that every time Fuel Man has went down and not worked, they have allowed us to come in and go ahead and charge. That way our patrol cars and fire trucks were not without them. So
What if we just,
we never had any issues
I
before.
don't know what we're allowed to do.
So
what if we encourage them to use that?
I mean, is
Campbell?
there something that's already, so it sounds like there's something that's already in place with
Yeah.
Campbell's.
yeah, we were using Campbell's probably less than a year and a half ago. Still doing that.
When Buck.
So how did we go about changing that? I wonder, like, did
I
the council
think-
have to vote? What did we do in order?
You've asked a very good question, but I want to ask a question of the chief. So you're not directed to use any individual. You have the option of which one you choose to go
As
to.
long as they are set up through fuel main.
Okay, now,
However, that is
Danette, please
very
step in
limited process.
and stop me if I'm going someplace I shouldn't be going. So the fuel mans, it can't be used at Campbell's, okay, after hours. It just can't be. And it costs a lot of money apparently for these vendors to utilize fuel man, which is probably one reason why we see all these associated charges in addition to the interest that we pay, which I looked at, I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. It's a lot. We're paying a lot of money for gas.
We're paying interest on money that we're paying every
Less than 18
month.
months.
Yeah, on the card.
It came under the former administrator.
Do we have a contract that says we must only purchase fuel using fuel man? Of course not. We've got it
Would be
other
I
way.
don't believe so, no.
Okay, so basically what we need to be able to do then is just tell our city, am I wrong in suggesting that it's as simple as telling our city department heads that you and your crew are allowed to go to Campbell's and charge the fuel and sign the receipt?
And encouraged to do so for.
Encouraged.
if
And
we're
Yeah, I
encouraged.
mean,
not
that's,
being
they said
charged
tracking, I mean,
One of the biggest issues was knowing which department they were purchasing fuel for.
And they have individual cards too, that they.
Yeah.
it has to do
Individual,
with the
But
fuel.
that's if they,
So in
if they go in and charge at Campbell's, you're signing a ticket and it's all.
They can say,
They have to sign
Police
it.
they have to sign a
card.
ticket,
Yeah.
and I think what it comes down to, and I apologize for interrupting.
no, it's okay.
Well, I think what it comes down to is managers saying,
For traffic.
managers telling their associates, you will sign this, street, police,
Right.
fire,
Indicate.
whatever, and then the managers, check up on it and audit it and do whatever they have to do to make it happen. We need to find out if we have does the board agree that we need to find out if we have a contract with the fuel man?
I'm 99% sure we don't. Fuel man would be just like having an MFA petrol
Right.
card, something similar.
It's just that they're an expensive version.
They are very expensive, yes.
Yes, sir.
We fill all our vehicles out of the tank down at at the street department.
That's fine. That's fine. What are you suggesting? I'm not trying to be sarcastic.
I don't know if we needed to put in a bigger tank and just, have everybody key to unlock the pumps.
How do
in
you
there.
track it? How do you know what department is it? You code it
We
in?
write it down.
Okay.
Do you have the beginning meter readings and the ending? That's pretty common
Well,
too.
The last guy's there, so that's your beginning, and then, like, I come along and fill my truck up, that's your ending reading. Put down how many gallons initial it, and
How
what
many
department.
gallons tank
Truck
is that?
number.
Huh?
How many gallons is in that
I
tank?
do not know that, Amy, I really don't.
It's about a 1,500 gallon
Is it
tank.
1,500?
I would say probably close to that.
Well, that's a good option too, so that
That's
the
a good
police have
backup.
two options.
Yeah.
It's a real good backup. I think,
I don't know if we get our fuel cheaper buying in that mass quantity.
I don't have a clue. I'm sure that we pay whatever market is when we fill it up. We pay whatever market is when we fill
Who
it
do
up
we get
again.
it
The
from?
thing I would suggest is if because we gotta climb up on the deck to get the handle and then climb back down to fill the thing. I don't know if police department guys or fire guys would wanna do that. We may have to move the pump.
So the ones who use the fuel man currently are police department, fire department?
Yes.
But would the, I
I'd
mean,
say the main reason why we use it is because we are 24/7. And the street department typically, well, the utility departments typically will have enough to hold them through the night if they need anything. So,
Well-
it's just for us to be able to.
And we have a lock on the breaker that turns those pumps on and off.
If You know, if the board says it's A-okay to use Campbell's, then I would encourage, and this is your all's decision, I'm just talking, I would want you all to consider approving, or at least make a statement of general approval that the fire department and the police department utilize Campbell's, who's going to do it interest-free for a month, whatever month is. And then, of course, keep the fuel man for now, for the nighttime fill-ups if you have to do that. But quite frankly, if it sounds to me like the only value we get using fuel man is the documentation, the recording, the accounting, if you will. And I don't know, and you would really be much more capable than I am, whether what we're paying is the value. That are we receiving the value from what we're paying? And I can't imagine, just being me, I'd rather just have a standard credit card that I could use anywhere at any time, and then put the onus onto who each officer. Don't take this the wrong way, guys. But each officer or each employee that is given a card, it should be on them to be responsible and
Yeah.
document what they're supposed to document.
The documentation they provide is nice. I mean, makes it very easy to.
Can we make that happen?
Does
Try.
Campbell's give the option of adding an odometer reading and who it was and a
No,
vehicle number?
you're just gonna, all they're offering is, you can go in there, it's a local convenience store that we could give our business to, you can go in, charge. If each manager makes their people be accountable for what department they're in, and we would get interest
You
free.
just sign in a ticket.
Yeah.
and-
What
Right on the
does fuel man
receipt.
give us for documentation now?
It's pretty detailed.
Yeah, it's a detailed receipt. It'll show you the quantity of gas, the date, the time, odometer reading.
And how does it have the
Vehicle
odometer and
number?
stuff?
I believe they have to input that information.
So when they put the card in, they gotta put that information in for the odometer.
The mileage, yeah.
So it's a little bit more of a tracking system, kind of to make sure that, well, that way you know where to allocate it to departments, and also it's a little tracking to make sure that, you're not personal vehicle bill. I mean, it doesn't 100%, but I mean, it
It's-
would.
I would encourage you
Another
to.
thing we did with the other cards whenever we were using Campbell's is you had to put your name, DSN, who you are, which vehicle, the odometer.
Oh,
So, yeah, and then officer sign at the bottom.
So basically,
So we're
they
getting
type that
that
in at the phone
information.
now, if they put that in the fuel man or whatever, yeah.
I would encourage anyone who would like to come take a look at one of their invoices. It was very surprising to me that we're paying that much money for that service, and I personally don't think it's appropriate value. For large metropolitan areas, maybe it makes a lot of
Sure.
sense.
Yeah.
How much? You have other invoices, how about this?
What's the markup? 20%?
30 cents a gallon. I think is what
30 cents a
it is.
gallon.
That's,
So
that's 10% right there, and
Yeah.
then on top of that, you get interest charges and.
Yikes.
it's pretty heavy. So
I would entertain a motion that we try to use the Campbell's.
And it's locally owned.
do we need a motion?
Or do you know, no, you don't need anything.
You don't think we do?
What?
No.
Sergeant?
Hold on.
So, MFA, you can negotiate a municipal rate, and each individual person have a card that is coded specifically to them, and you get to print out for that too.
Is it interest-free?
If you pay it within
You
that
can
month,
pay it
Pay it within a month.
Got it.
We don't ever get charged any interest.
you just have to pay that month. I have an MFA card for 20 years.
All right.
But I do like the local vendor.
I think either one would
But
work.
MFA employs all local people too.
Well,
This
I
is
understand.
true.
Does
Yeah.
farmers elevators still have their pumps? I don't even
No.
know.
The one thing I do know, with the exception I didn't know about MFA and their cost, generally, it used to be good practice for all of the convenience stores, they would call each other and they would match rates. It's very unusual to have one really spiked over another.
Yeah, generally in town, I mean, and that's, I mean, you can see that, you drive through any town, and I mean, there's never more than a couple of cents unless you go down to Hannibal, down to the Main Street area.
That's true.
Other than that, everywhere is pretty much, you know.
But it doesn't hurt to have multiple options. like
Right.
you said, and especially if we're already getting a big tank. I just think it's really important for tracking that, no matter where they go, we know what vehicles, which department.
I think one thing I'd like to ask the boards if we can have approval to try to find an alternative method of having a charge cards and not use fuel man.
And I'd be
MFA
happy to
cards
reach
would
out
do
to
that.
Fuelman, tell them, hey, we're looking at other options, can you provide us a better rate or something?
I think we ought to do
Well,
it.
if they had the MFA cards, that's the same thing as going to Campbell's. They could use it 24/7. So like if Campbell's is closed, they need to fill up their cars, after 11 o'clock. They enter a pin. And
If the board wants us to
24/7.
go
Here's
get
another thing
MFA
to
cards, you need
consider.
to make a motion.
If we don't have fuel man, we have that savings, but then how much we have to think about the additional office work it's gonna create that they have to do not having fuel man.
Does it save you any money using fuel man? I mean, does it
Does it
save
save you
time?
hours, time?
Our time.
I think as long as they're diligent on filling out their slip and they get their fuel and put their badge number, all that information on their ticket, I think that would be easy
Because
enough.
you have to, that invoice I seen didn't appear to be sorted by badge number.
It was sorted by card, I think it's a card number.
Card
There's
number.
certain card,
Okay.
each person had their
Got
own
it.
card.
Okay.
And are you matching up to the receipts that the
Yes.
departments are turning in?
Yes.
In MFA, you can get a receipt as well.
So now we're having to take a document, match it to a receipt where
Well, she does that.
where
already.
She already does
you would just
that.
have a receipt that you entered into G-Works
From Campbell's.
from Campbell.
Whomever.
Allocated.
You don't have to match them up right now.
Yes, chief?
I do.
Another thing we are doing now that we didn't do then is we have a log that we actually fill out for each time the cards are filled up. It has exactly who, odometer, all that. I would suggest we continue with that, and then we can do all the totals for that sheet, put them down at the bottom. That way we put
I like
totals
it.
for each
Total
card.
per card.
Yeah.
And I'd also recommend that the department heads maybe help out with that.
And that's what you give me now too, right? Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's what I do.
There is
I
a
would
sheet.
suggest we continue with that, and then
Yeah, then as
Yeah,
long as the
they
total
use
per
it.
card matches up, then
If the board has no objection, I'll work with the city clerk's office and we'll try to find a solution that allows us to use MFA, use Campbell's. I'd like to see a card that could be used anywhere besides just the fuel man card. We
Well-
still have an objection to it.
is there a monthly fee for Fuel Man if we don't use it and just keep it as a backup?
I think it's just like one of those things, where you apply for a
Credit.
credit and it's kind of like a credit type thing.
Right. There's no annual fees or,
So you're not charged if you don't use it. Yeah.
so I mean,
You
just
guys-
have that as a
you guys
backup.
Get it. That's your backup.
Enough on that, you think?
Mhm.
Okay, next thing I've got on here is Clarence County Wholesale Water Commission. What they have, Mr. Heath Shin stopped by today. We have until September to make a determination on, a final determination on what we want to do. What I encourage the board to consider is to allow us to at least get hopefully get our engineer of record here and get some additional input from them. I found that Mr. Heath Hall is a very knowledgeable and a very helpful individual. He was very straightforward. It's so straightforward I was shocked, okay, as to what our options actually are. And he did a very good job of attempting to educate me. Yes, Robin?
He said we have until September.
Yes.
These qualifications aren't due until September.
What's the date on that?
September 9th.
Yeah, well, by the end of September, we have to make a decision.
Is there any way to move this deadline up?
What happens if we don't make a decision?
Excuse me?
What happens if we don't make a decision?
Well, we have until the end of September to make a decision, at which point in time we're going to have to say yes or no, because they have other projects that they're working on. It gets a little complicated. They borrowed the money for the engineering fees in conjunction with another project that's going to be closing for another city, and their payments are due.
Okay.
And we currently owe approximately $250,000 in engineering fees to Clarence County Wholesale Water Commission. Previous administration signed an actually passed an ordinance and agreed to this contract back in 2021. 2020 or 2021, I can't remember which one it is, I apologize for lack of detail. But we agreed to pay the engineering fees. Now, I will tell you this, based on my conversations today with Heath, we have some work to do in City Hall, because we need to have a very good grasp of why the financials that we do have available indicate an unfavorable outcome in the water plant, i.e. losing money. I'm not going to go into detail unless you make me. But based upon the number of meters, and based on our current rate structure, and based on known expenses, based on the USDA loan debt service that has to come out of sewer, but we put them both together to kind of understand what the total picture is, because we have a company that we contract with that does both water treatment as well as wastewater, and it's people services. And so we should not be upside down right now on water. And we go back and look at what financial data we have for prior years, the ending fiscal year 2021 being an example. We lost a significant amount of money, depending upon what your definition is significant. That if it's over $250,000, I think it's significant. And I do not understand, just looking at the very basics of how we think it should operate, where that come from. And there may be underlying reasons, there may be very good reasons for that occurring. But let me tell you what I do know. What I do know is that barring some major catastrophe, that the water rates that were proposed, I think would not be a significant burden on our customers. It would provide sufficient funds to pay the debt service monthly. The debt service is $26,500 a month based on 2.5% interest on the $5 million loan that they've already got approval for. The debt plus the water use based on our typical average water use plus CapEx, which is money, there's a certain amount of money attached to each 1,000 gallons for capital improvements to their total systems which supplies to water. Well, if you add up the debt plus the average water use on a monthly basis, based on this 2021 data, plus the CapEx, and these all have to be updated, people, approximately $38,000 per month. That includes paying for the water. We're still responsible for distribution. We still need to have a company like People Services here handling the distribution side on the water, and someone still doing the wastewater treatment. The average bill for a standard customer right now that this is water only, base rate using 5,000 gallons a month is $65. That rate would change between $10 to $15 more because of the change in the water rate costs that we're going to be paying. Plus, yes, it does help service the debt. And that would mean that a typical water bill for a person using 5,000 gallons would be $80 per month, approximately. It's like 78, 76, but I rounded up to 80. Using 1,100 subscribers, which there's actually more, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go any further than that. We would be able to cover the USDA loan, be able to cover the franchise fee of 6% that goes back into general revenue to pay for administrative fees and costs and other costs associated with operating the utility, and we'd still be in a very, very positive position. The fact that we're not right now is quite surprising. I don't understand it, but our financials are not where they need to be for us to be able to make those determinations, and will not be until sometime probably mid-August. In mid-August, based on our conversations internally, we feel like we should be at a point where we can start working on the budget in earnest with good data. Do you agree with that, mid-August? Approximately, give her plus a week or two? Okay, so that's where we're at, and so, in August, we're gonna have a very short period of time to try to, put together a budget, but if it's late, it's late. And there's not much that we can do about it, and, I assure you, our administration is doing the best they can, as fast as they can. So my recommendation to this board is that we don't make a decision tonight on the yes or no, that we continue to explore all of our options. We wait until we have all the financial information together so that when we talk about this, we're not looking at 2021 or 2020 or 2019 or 2018, because I don't know what's changed and I can't forecast what's changed, and I
Well,
certainly
a lot
don't
of
want to
expenses
drive
have
us.
certainly changed a lot. I mean,
There's a lot that's been changed, and I agree with you, Greg. So if you guys are okay with that, I'd like to put that off. I got a letter asking us to make a decision. They tell us by when, and I'll update you all. If the information I've given you tonight is not 100% accurate, I'll update you with the correct information. If that's okay, I'll move on to the city clerk's report.
Can I make
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Robin, please.
Could I just make a suggestion? This RFQ says September 9th. If we have to have an answer to CCWSC by the end of September, there's no way that we're gonna have time to interview engineers, have them get on board, make recommendations to us by the end of September. I'm wondering if we should change this to sometime mid-August for the responses.
Is that possible?
It's not been
George,
that
what do you need, 30 days? Typically?
No, I'd say 2 weeks max.
3 weeks, 3
Two.
weeks?
Two, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you put it out for 2 weeks, them engineers, the ones that are interested, they already have everything ready, all they gotta do is send it
That's
to
good.
you.
Thank
Then
you.
you have to have the selection committee, so I'd say by the end of July, you could almost have your recommendation for the board.
You want to make August, what's the first week in August?
Yeah.
I can't see it from here. August 2nd?
Our end of business on the second.
Good call, thank you. Anything else on the mayor's report? Yes, sir?
On the water, have we considered, or are we locked in to the pricing that we're giving to the water park and all that? Is there any room for adjustment on that?
Is that the Clarence Cannon?
No, that's Cannon Water.
Cannon water, that's what Keith was talking about today.
Yeah.
During our discussion, it was observed that our rate to them needs to be reviewed. And we are going to review it. And we will come back with a recommendation probably at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Anything else? City clerk's report, please.
As you can see, for our general fund, we have $1,519,000, $1,519,526.48 in there. And the sweep account has $549,970.43. We met with the LWCF. I guess it would have been the learning opportunities, who has applied for the grant. Met earlier this week, and had a 3-hour webinar on that. So we'll be, more information on that will be forthcoming. I think the mayor and Kevin O'Brien met and discussed for a while on it too. Kevin was there for the meeting. Matthew, the guy that owns Maddie's. Yes, he was there. Yeah. I attached the budget, and I just put on here for budget work sessions, which we already discussed, might not be until August, but that's something that we're gonna need to work on later on, so. Regarding the BKGL update, Jackie was in the office last night. She is now actually inputting the data into our software. So we are at that point where she's getting things put in that weren't put in.
Okay, so these numbers already have one, I mean, these are a little better than what we have.
Yes, they do. Well, when I found that one deposit from January, that made up a lot of our property tax income. And I talked to the library and told them that I found some of their revenues as well in the bank statements, and that they definitely look better. But we still have a ways to go. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. City attorney will not be here tonight, and he did not give me anything to share with the board. Next thing on the agenda, there appears to be no authorized guest speakers tonight, so no one has come forth and asked to be on the agenda. By the way, on the city's website, Mike went in and changed a few sentences in there to address that issue. And so now the website's correct, and if you want to speak to the board, what the process is to do that. Council committee reports. First one is going to be planning and zoning.
Yeah, we had a planning and zoning meeting today. And basically the only topic of discussion was the installation of the anhydrous tank. Yeah, you guys have farmers elevator. Yep, you got the packet information there. We do not have full site details and all that we would normally have for a full site approval, but they have some deadlines to getting the tank moved that they're using. They've kind of lined up some things on their trip for trucks and stuff. So as the board, we basically passed a motion that we, as a recommendation to council, that we give them a conditional approval in order to allow them to set their piers and set the tank. That'll allow them to get their stuff moved and in place. We will still need site plans and other details before we, do full site approval. At this point, they won't have any electricity installed or water or anything else, so we do still have that. We do still have things, basically, if we need to, like doing the whole, that should expect.
We can hold utilities.
Yeah. But anyway, that was basically allow them to get their tank moved and their piers set and installed. They will do that Wednesday.
How many pounds anhydrous their tank holds, this tank?
I don't know, and like I said, and I don't think it says on that
I
detail
didn't
or
see
not.
it. That's okay. I meant anhydrous this tank.
Oh, how big is it?
Yeah.
It's 30,000 gallons.
There you go.
No, it says on any vessel over 3. Is that what you're reading?
That's what I'm reading. You're right.
I was just curious.
Have we extended that road yet?
We're starting that tomorrow, I think.
That's what I was gonna ask, is that gonna be an issue?
They're going to, Kevin O'Brien was here earlier and discussed that. They're going to take the grader in tomorrow and start working on that road. And as long as they have a solid base, they will be fine with the gravel road.
So, yeah,
It's kind of wet, so.
Right.
yeah, a little bit right there. Everywhere in town's always wet. So anyway, with that, from the council, I make the motion that we give them a conditional approval in order to allow them to install their tank and piers, pending full approval with the other plans and recommendation from the zoning committee.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to,
Basically pending full their site plan and everything for the full approval. She's getting an
She
accurate.
got it.
Would you please state that for me?
Well, I have, motion, is to give conditional approval to Farmer's Elevator to install piers and tank, pending site plan approval. Is that correct?
That's right. Pending site plan,
What'd you say?
pending site plan approval.
We're approving just the tank.
We're approving, we're basically what I was saying, we're approving the installation of the tank and the
Install
piers.
piers and tank.
Yeah. And then like full, site approval will be pending,
Okay.
their site plan,
And their packet.
and their package.
We have a motion on the floor for conditional approval of the site plan for Farmers Elevator. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor for conditional approval of Farmers Elevator site plan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Anything more for planning and zoning?
She was wondering if we had more than that, so.
Or he could send me one or something, so I could pack it.
Does that conclude part?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, that was the only thing I discussed in
Okay.
planning and zoning, so appreciate your time.
Okay, moving on, Parks and Cemetery.
Damon,
Luke.
did get all of the, cemetery stones
good.
set that were damaged.
Our street department manager, Kevin O'Brien, went and inspected the work and verified it. So that's been concluded. Anything else? Economic development.
We had a meeting on Monday and, had some discussion. There are some minutes in here. Saw them.
I didn't type them. There's two meetings minutes in there, because I didn't have them for you for last.
What section are they?
9.
9, okay, yeah. Is it minutes for two different meetings there?
I don't have them.
Section 9.
I
Oh, you don't have a section 9?
did not get that update.
I don't have them. I will,
You want mine?
I will look at yours.
I just got
I have two.
Well, there's
Yeah, it wasn't in the
one,
email.
two
There's two
different.
Oh, because they look the same.
Oh, and I just get the work very similar.
Gotcha. They both say the same meeting date.
The information that I received relative to the economic development sales tax stipulates some requirements regarding other taxes that may have been implemented under the authorities of certain state statutes. The city attorney is reviewing that. I don't know that we have an answer yet. Long and short of it is if the city has implemented taxes, under the authorities of those statutes, we cannot do that tax.
What?
So we're waiting on an answer. I don't know
What
the
other
answer.
tax could there be that could conflict with that?
I'm sorry?
What other tax that we have that could conflict with that?
I can't answer the question. We have to do the research.
He's just making sure what we're doing is okay.
It's more of due diligence.
Okay,
I don't know what the result will be.
okay.
And I attempted to review the statute to see if it was reasonable to make any type of determination, and it was so complicated and so complex, I gave up.
Yeah,
And I actually had a discussion with the city attorney. We may have to engage someone with specialized knowledge and skills in the area of government, state government and taxation laws.
We just need history.
So, anything else on economic development? Okay. Administration?
Just Danette, Phoebe got started back, and Mindy, I guess everything's going well.
Yeah, they started July 1 and they've got right in and they've been a big help so far.
The office looks great downstairs.
It is great having them here.
It's quite, the organization has greatly improved.
Just, it's incredible.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I just was wondering.
Anything from the new,
Yeah, thank you.
No, unless it's him.
Zach.
he's currently occupied. Anything on nuisance review board or public safety? Anything on public safety? Okay.
No, sir.
I'll move on to department reports if there's no objections.
We need to get a nuisance meeting.
Sir?
I think we need to get a nuisance meeting scheduled,
Okay.
We do.
because it hasn't happened
That's
Okay.
on me.
this administration.
I said that's on me. It hasn't
Oh,
happened
that's-
yet. Yeah. I'm the one who
Contact
instructed on that.
Yeah, contact, when you decide when you would like to have that, contact Alex. He will get the notification sent out, so, is that correct? Or you?
No, Alex does.
Okay, I didn't want to overstep my boundaries here. We'll make that happen. You just let us know when. Anything else for nuisance review board public safety? Moving forward now to department reports. First on the agenda, police department.
We don't have anything for tonight.
The fire department is not represented, however, I requested and have received the July report of equipment condition as required by our ordinances. And I will get this copied and get it to you on an individual basis.
We have it.
Well, got it.
Awesome. You are good. Well, somebody's good. Very good. So you have that here if you want to go over, we can. I haven't personally had time to review it.
And kudos to the fire department for a wonderful fireworks show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make us proud.
It was very nice. But the ordinances require that the fire chief, the chief of the fire department, submit a report of equipment condition, which he has done, and it's there and available for your review should you choose to do so. Any questions about fire? Moving right along, water department.
All right, first thing I have to report is, not good news.
Oh, great.
Got, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. We got our quarterly, results for the total trihalomethanes back today. And our running annual average is over 80 again, so there will be another complete public notice. Once City Hall receives that, I'll fill out the paperwork as I've done every other time, and we'll get that out to the public. So just wanted to let you know ahead of time, and I don't know when it's gonna come. I normally get the results, and weeks later, sometimes even a month later, is when DNR finally sends the violation out.
And usually the problem's already resolved by the time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
But then people though, I don't think realize that.
No, it's so hard to understand that everything we're doing is based on the last 4 quarters worth of results. You have to just add them up, divide by 4, and if it's over 80, then you're in violation. Whether you had a big number 3rd quarter of last year, it doesn't matter. And the rest of the quarters you're under, it's still a yearly running average.
It's an average.
The warm water is one of the biggest things that get us, and it warmed up very quickly this year, and the water temperature shot up. And we very aggressively flushed prior to taking the sample, but we still drew a 115, which is high. It's not as We've had 170s, 180s before, but it was still much higher than what we'd like to see. And the other location, which normally is very low, which is taken at Carrie's house, it was even high this time.
So what do we have to do?
Pardon?
What do we have to do?
Well, the engineer of record is going to help us with that. Simply switching from free chlorine to chloramination is going to be the fastest and immediate, the most immediate that you're gonna see. It's once you use chloramines instead of free chlorine, TTHM, they stop right there. The water no longer produces the TTHM.
Will we get a notice of violation or anything?
Yes, we will, and everybody in the public will get that. Now, if we do go to chloramines, it is good. We're going to have to do a lot of citywide education. Anybody on dialysis, people with fish tanks, all that is going to be an issue. They have to change their processes because of no longer having the free chlorine. But almost all large water, well, if we end up switching to cannon water, you will have chloramines at that point.
It's called permanganate, what's it called? Chloramines?
Chloramines
Yes.
is, we actually, you have to hit breakpoint
You're actually
chlorination.
adding ammonia to
And
the
then you're
chlorinated
adding
water.
ammonia to the chlorinated
Now-
water, and it knocks out the free chlorine.
So if we chose that course of action, which is, I think our total's under $400,000 to get our water plant back up to snuff. If we chose that course of action, this notification process and education process is the same notification process and education process we would have to do if we went with Clarence Can and Wholesale Water. So it's not like we're doing something that we wouldn't have to do no matter which way we go.
Right.
And I will share with you that the representative from Clarence Can Wholesale Water Commission was very informative. He provided information that I was unaware of. And of course, they would love to have us as a customer. They would love to have us as a customer. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is we're going to have to decide how much control we want, because if we go there, we have, and he brought this up, and not because I asked it, but he brought it up as a consideration because he's a very forthright individual. I was very appreciative of his forthrightness and his honesty, is that, we lose control. And we're still going to be responsible for water distribution. We'll still need a people services type entity to contract with to do water distribution, which is all the lines and the meters and the service. And we'll still be required to do wastewater treatment, which is sewer, simplest way to say it. And unless we hold public meetings and make a determination to stop adding fluoride to our water, we will have to set up a fluoridation treatment facility to
Because that
add
doesn't
it.
include it at this point? Because the cannon water wouldn't include it at this point, is that what you're saying?
If
Yeah,
we
canned
use
water does
canned
not
water,
fluoridate their water.
they don't fluoridate their water is the point. We do, and we agreed to that many, many years ago to do that. It's considered I'd be very careful, a health benefit. Although the water we receive and the water all the Clarence Can Wholesale Water Commission's customers, unless they fluoridate it, when they receive it, it's not
It's not
fluoridated.
fluoridated, it matters.
And again, they currently use and will continue to use the same process to handle the disinfectant, the chlorine, as we would if we just changed our plant's operational methods. And so it really going to come down to how much money you want to spend, how much control do you want to maintain. We can make this happen. That's one of the reasons why we're wanting to go out for the engineer to get someone on the team that represents us and represents our interest.
Yeah.
I'm not capable of doing it, and I don't think that, we have some very good people advising us on the people's services side based on their many years of experience and knowledge, but we need someone that works for us. So I'll shut up.
You were saying that it could affect people on dialysis. Are you talking about like people that do that at home?
Yes.
Okay. They'd have
Or
to
at
change
the nursing home, or any place where dialysis is done within the city.
They'd have to have a different type filter or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as we notify them. And
Right.
then annually, we will do what's called a burnout. That's where you actually do switch back to free chlorine, because when you add ammonia to the water, it could promote algae growth within your distribution system. So you actually run free chlorine and you clean the lines, essentially. So for that month that we do that, everybody who is on dialysis then would have to switch back, and then, but it's done. It's done worldwide, so it's not anything that people can't do. It's just we have to be very good with communication with the public, whatever is decided. But this is a suggestion that I would strongly suggest that we do consider going to chloramines, even if we're 2-3 years down the road before we go with Clarence Cannon. I would suggest making the switch to chloramines here soon, because we've been not being put on in enforcement with DNR, because we've been saying, okay, yes, we know we're in violation, but we're going to Clarence Cannon. Yes. Now that we're kicking that can a little bit further down the road,
Then they might want to.
They might put us in there. And
what does that entail?
Fines or?
If they start finding us in violation versus
Mm-hmm.
what does that entail? Does it entail like fines or other requirements?
It can. Right now, they probably just come in and they nail the board down and say, what are you going to do and when are you going to do it?
What are you going to do about the fact that you're not meeting this?
Yes.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
if you tell them we will have it done by this date and you don't, they normally start out fining $1,000 a day.
Okay.
So, and then but that is after you thumb your nose at them, and we wouldn't do that.
No.
I'm sure. So
the individual that I spoke with at Missouri DNR was extremely helpful, very understanding, and very much willing to work with us as long as we tell them what we're doing.
Yes.
And give them a reasonable timeline to complete it, and that's exactly what we're working for, diligently as we know how.
So George,
Yes, ma'am.
the chloramine.
The chloramines. Okay. Yeah.
Time-wise, do you think, would you recommend to the board that we go ahead? Is that, I don't know how.
It has to be engineered.
Oh, okay.
So
it's a
once we
project.
get the engineer a record,
Okay.
that would be the first thing, and it's as simple as finding a place in the water plant or having to get a separate small building to put the ammonia with a feeder and actually getting some other instrumentation for the lab as well as a distribution system, and we're on chloramines. It's that simple.
Cost?
Yeah.
Cost estimate, if you had to give a cost estimate on it right now, what would you give?
I'd probably say 20 to 25,000. That should be with engineering.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
unless
a
a
great
building
difference.
is required.
Yeah.
If a building's required, then of course, right now with building costs, that goes up exponentially. But
Depends on how big the building has to be, I guess.
it would have to hold a 250 to 300 gallon tote, so it wouldn't have to be much, and it would just have to be in a where it could be off gas to the environment. So along the wall, I don't know how far you can actually pump the ammonia, because ammonia is bad at off gassing. So the only room we really have left is in our garage, and if you guys haven't been to the water plant, please come out. Love to take you around.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I'd love to show it to you, but yeah, probably in the garage is where this would happen, and but it is gonna be fairly cheap. It's just I don't much care for chloramines because they are not near as strong of a disinfectant as free chlorine is. That is my only concern with it.
With that in mind, so the chloramines would take care of our problem that we're running violations because
Yeah,
of
the TTH,
TTH.
yes, sir.
But at least in that short answer to your statement, you're like, well, chlorines are better than some of this other stuff. Can we get to where we can comply with the chlorines without the chloramines, or is that just
Yes.
not very?
Yes, what it is the water source, we get algae, we get other total organic carbon comes in. Actually, ammonia is our big one. We actually bring in a lot of ammonia from the lake. And you have to remove 100% of the ammonia from the water in order for your free chlorine to be any residual whatsoever. It takes about 12 parts of chlorine to knock out 1 part of ammonia. In the heat of the summer, we'll bring in 1.5, almost up to 2 parts of ammonia. So we're putting 12 parts of chlorine just to knock it out. Then we turn around and feed more chlorine to get our free chlorine residual. So we're still going to have to knock out 100% of that ammonia to turn around and add ammonia again, because you can't use the free ammonia coming in as to switch to chlorines.
Because it doesn't, it's a different.
It's a little bit different.
Molecules.
Yeah, so because you have to hit breakpoint chlorination, which is all the ammonia's out and whatever chlorine you're putting in the water is actually disinfecting the water. It's no longer being used up by what's in the water. And then you turn around and take the free chlorine back out by hitting it with ammonia, and then it bonds and makes the monochlorines. So, and then I know that's, you guys didn't come tonight for a chemistry lesson, but.
Ask a dumb and maybe not relevant question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Route J, do we allow boat traffic or anything on that anymore?
Yes.
We still do?
Yeah.
We just don't have it like we used to? Is that fair to say?
No, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of use out there.
Okay, then that answers pretty much.
Does that add to our cost of?
No, I think that I think a lot of our ammonia comes from runoff, because we do collect from almost all agricultural. So the farmers are putting the ammonia on, they put phosphorus on, that ends up coming in.
Right.
And then now we have to get rid of it. And I gave the mayor I don't know how many page, on what could be done at the water plant. And one thing was, I definitely suggested hiring somebody to do a watershed protection program. And that would be an engineer or Missouri Rural Water could do it, where they actually figure out what the watershed is, and then you communicate with everybody who, if they dump their oil outside, it would go to the watershed. And you train the entire watershed essentially to protect your water source. Does it always work? No, it doesn't. But yet, if you could get a farmer to put on a little bit less ammonia, or don't do it when there's a chance of rain coming, that it would save that from coming into your water source. But
Yeah,
Education.
Our water source sets in a hole too.
it does,
So
yeah.
everything runs
Yes,
downhill.
yeah.
Right.
Where like Mark Twain Lake, it has a river running in and a river running out. So it has a current. Ours does not have a current, but we produced a current when we put in the solar bees. If you go down there, there's 2 big, look like spaceships floating out in there. And them are actually mixing up the water column continuously and our water has really equalized.
When did those get put in?
It's been, Jerry was the mayor, so it's been at least 3 years ago.
Okay, cool.
But
So they're helping then.
oh, they're definitely helping. Yes, our ammonia levels, we don't see the real peaks or anything. It kind of just stays Manganese it doesn't knock us over the head like it used to, so. But, any other questions about GTHNs or?
Probably helps with the bloom then too.
It does, but it also it stirs it up, takes it down to the bottom, and we draw from about 15 foot down.
Yeah.
And so we do get a lot of, and that adds to our total organic carbon, which has to be removed when it comes to the water plant. So, but we feed a sodium permanganate, which does kill the algae before it gets to the water plant, and then we just have to remove it. And dirty water is actually much easier to treat, so I like having it in there. It's much harder to treat. So in the winter, when our water column is extremely clean, it is much harder to treat in the winter than it is in the summer. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. When you come visit,
Yeah.
I'll take you through the whole process.
It's quite interesting, I'll tell you.
Okay, I'll move on. Next thing, I talked with Chief Zach as well as Carrie concerning utility damages. So we talked 2 meetings ago. I mentioned that we never went anywhere with endpoints and stuff, and we never found anything where the board did agree to do anything or assess fines to anybody that damaged them. But talking with Zach as well as Carrie, if somebody hits a telephone pole, that's one of your utilities, and that person pays for that telephone pole. So Zach believes that there already is a law on the books that he can use to charge somebody for damaging the endpoints, the meter lids, the registers, just like Carrie does. What Carrie does is he actually gives the information to Zach on what it costs, and then the police department actually sends the bill out. So I kind of just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry that we can't find what it was that the board passed in the past, but they didn't need to pass it because we actually already had something out there.
And it goes to the homeowner?
Yes,
Property owner?
that's who you would be sending it to, right, Zach? Is the property owner, and then whether if they had Jimmy down the street cut their lawn and he ran over it, well, they got to collect from Jimmy.
Yeah.
So.
Have we come up with a number?
Yes, the endpoints, they are $154 each, and the registers are $85 each.
The endpoint is at the meter itself?
Endpoint is the part that sticks through the lid.
Okay,
So you can see it looks like a mushroom
right.
on your water meter.
Right.
And it comes down and it has what's called a NICOR connector.
Okay.
And so as long as they only mess up the endpoint, then that's all you have. But like we had one just not too long ago out on Mosswood, where whenever he ruined the endpoint, also ruined the cable. Once the cable's ruined, the whole thing was ruined. And that one was extremely expensive because it was a 1-inch meter, and the cable actually went straight into the meter, not into a register. It was a complete whole system. So,
but that's not the standard size.
No. Well, 1 inch is, well, believe it or not, 1 inch was almost standard around town. We reduced almost everything to 3/4. There's no reason to have all the 1-inch meters that you guys had in the systems. But anyway.
The majority of the damage you see is just on the endpoints?
Yes. Yeah, that, and sometimes they do damage the lid.
Right.
We've had one place that's ruined 2. They ruined one last year. They've already ruined another one this year. It's out on the dead end Dover Street.
How much are the lids?
They're $30 roughly.
Right.
Are we talking about using like mower damage or what?
Yeah.
How you get?
Yeah, that is normally what it is. Now, we haven't seen it yet, but at some point we will see it where in town here, people think it's okay to open up the water meter and use that as their shutoff valve. That is not the shutoff valve for the houses. The shutoff valve for a house, trailer, whatever, should be inside. And they should have their own. So when we get called out, like last night, we got called out at 9 o'clock to go turn somebody's water off down on 2nd Street. It was like 629 2nd Street. They had a valve go bad on their sink. So we came in, we turned the water off, so it was 2 hours of overtime to call somebody in. And they went in and said, okay, right there at your water heater, there's your shut-off valve. That person had no clue.
That would be me.
Yeah, it
calling.
probably would be.
I don't know where mine is
Yeah.
inside.
I don't
So
know.
I've
Go
always,
home and figure out where.
I've always turned mine off at the meter. I've been out there in the middle of the night with my little,
Yep.
and turned mine on off.
Historic homes, that's normal. With a historic.
I
Yeah.
would say, I'm not sure I even have one, but.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
older, but if your water meter is outside, but anyway.
What is your concern with the customer doing it at the meter?
Well,
They'll
because,
pull the lids off.
they take
Because
the
lids
lids
are
off.
tight.
Yeah, just getting the lid off one, and then if they don't get it back on tight in the winter, it'll freeze the meter. They will actually damage the cables. They'll
Because the
unplug the
old
cables.
lids didn't have any cable at all, it was just.
Not.
Yes, just
not
the lid.
the lid.
Attached,
Yeah.
And then she said she used the,
The water
We
heat.
need to talk about that in a minute. I didn't mean to interrupt.
okay, she was talking about going out there and turning hers off. Well, you get a hold of that cable on accident with your, whatever
Tear
you're
the cable
using,
off.
yeah, you tear the
Right.
cable off, then we're either out an endpoint, and when are we have to then, figure out that it isn't even reading. And we are actively watching that on a normally daily basis. And if they're not responding, we'll go out, figure out why they're not responding, and normally it's
So
somebody
you
that
get,
pulled it off and it's,
These are basically electronic reading, is that what
Yes.
it's going on? Okay.
yeah, and the
So you don't
night,
have to go around and open up you used to have to open the lids and
yeah,
look at the numbers on the dial.
yeah,
You
so
can't
no.
get the lid off but about far before it really starts tugging on the lead. I can just say.
Yeah.
Mine's got
Yes.
like.
I have it on good authority. You can't get them
Well,
over
my
very
old one had the opposite problem, like, they would come by and read it, but like it
It wouldn't
it
get
wasn't
back
right,
on.
it was like chipped kind of funny, so it wasn't like it should be, and so then they wouldn't get it on right, and then you'd like step on it, and the lid would like come off, so you had to like get it arranged just right,
Yes.
so, yeah.
Yeah, we've been going around and checking and making sure that, the problem with the electronic read meters is throughout the years, people mow, grass gets on top of it, it dies, it turns into dirt, and sooner or later, you don't even see your meter lit anymore, but of course, when you can't see it, it's no longer transmitting. So we go out there, we find it, we uncover it, so if you ever have anybody complain that, they come in and dug up my front yard, well, we had to get the dirt off of that so it would read.
Because it's such a low power transmission.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But, do you wanna cover what you had?
This will eventually go to the nuisance committee too, but this is, and I'm sorry, I thought I had the street name, but the street that, Washington School is on, this is in front of an abandoned house, and it looks like that, the last house on the right, 530,
530, whatever that street is.
whatever that street is.
I think it's south of.
South
Is that what that is?
Is that like crosses mill?
It crosses Mill.
Are you seeing it on Street View? Has it been there that long?
I
No,
don't know.
she's got a
I've got
picture of
the
the
address,
actual
but-
water meter and the
Oh,
whole
okay.
lid and has shifted.
Oh, yeah,
So-
just a bit.
Yes, we will take a look at that. I will hope to get to it tomorrow.
Okay, cause off the subject, I'd had a complaint about that house, and I made it down there to take pictures to present to the nuisance committee when we ever have a meeting. And that was one thing I did take away from it, besides a couple of other things, but yeah.
Okay, so I'll move on to my next, the next issue is we are almost out of endpoints. What we ordered when we did the complete switchover, we ended up with 10 or so extra with the ones that have been ruined this year. We have had to reuse them, so we're down. So if we get a new customer come to town that are like that abandoned house, somebody goes in there and we have to put one in there, we might not have that endpoint. So I would ask that we purchase some endpoints.
How many, how much?
$10, or 10 of them for $154 each, so $1,540.
We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to buy the endpoints, 10 units. We have a second?
Second.
We A motion second on the floor by 10 of the endpoint units. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed so no. Motion carries. You have approval.
One last thing, I don't know if anybody noticed, but we had a water leak over at Missouri Metalcraft, on an old line that was not metered, so they're not gonna have a charge there. But yes, sir.
May I interject?
You sure may.
I talked to the maintenance associate that informed me that they had dammed up the front entrance so the water couldn't come out because they were concerned about
Polluting the
DNR or whatever.
the oil.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to state that. He did tell me that at the point in time that I was there and you were there, that there was still quite a bit of water on the floor. He had ran 3 batches through their water treatment facility. Each batch is 9,000 gallons. So there's at least 27,000 gallons plus of unmetered water.
My estimate is about 135,000 gallons. My estimate comes from what normally, the tower normally drops so many foot a night. Last night it dropped an additional 5 foot, and we couldn't keep up today until we finally got that shut off. There was a 2-inch line coming out on the dock side of that he never told me about, but it apparently is a drain for under the foundation, and this thing was shooting water out 5 or 6 foot, just full bore, continuous.
The main building or?
The building that is right along Border Street.
The old
What-
aluminum building?
Yeah, what happened is when they built onto that building, and I believe it was 79, they got rid of this line. This was the line that was for their fire flow as well as for their potable water. They just capped them off inside, and then they added all this dirt to make the new building and brought in water around the corner. Well, that valve, I can't tell you why it was never shut off, but it was wide open when we finally found it. We found it this morning, got it turned off by 10 a.m. And but yes, we lost an enormous amount of water. It was I'm not sure if it's 8 or 10 inch. We just got it cleaned around. The hole's still open today. I wasn't gonna do any overtime to plug it up, but it is definitely off. We cut it. There's no water coming out of it, so it is good. But what was happening is throughout the plant, there were little fissures all over the place, just blowing up anywhere from just bubbling to shooting up this far. So there is a possibility that that whole place was undermined. I mean, there could be large gaps underneath their foundation now. I don't know. I'm just saying that under their floor. I would just like to say that that is the biggest concern I have with the school. If you recall, well, you were in the meeting when they decided to take ownership, but I'd strongly suggest that there's a water main that's going to be running underneath the brand new school building that they're building. And we did get, the school decided to take ownership. You're looking at me weird.
I thought they agreed to do something different, but I can't recall the circumstance.
Well, I think if I remember right, they were taking ownership, and their engineers were working with the deal, and they said they were gonna encase it in concrete. So that they at least had a thought of, now whether our expert agrees that that's
correct.
that's the approach.
You're correct.
I don't know, but
You're correct.
that's what they were gonna
I can
do.
tell you
correct.
it's not been encased in concrete, and they are moving along.
What if it breaks?
Well,
That's what I'm saying. This brand new building, it could blow all the fill underneath that building. It could blow it out. It depends on how fast it's caught.
So it's not encased in concrete?
Well, that's.
No, I
It
did
could
not see
compromise the structure
Right,
completely.
Yes.
I agree.
Our sewer line is running underneath this building also. Now, I knew the sewer line, I agreed that they could encase that in concrete. But they've had it exposed once, and I didn't see any concrete go back in. And they only had a small section of it.
See, that's just backwards because they explained to us, my interpretation of what I think I heard is that they weren't concerned with the sewer line because they could always tube it, they could run a liner through it. But they were going to encase the water line because you can't fix a water line once it breaks.
Right, but you would have to possibly get to the water line, where the sewer line, that's why they were gonna encase the sewer line, knowing that you'd never have to actually re-expose the sewer line.
Well, we've got it in writing that they took ownership of it. That would remove liability for the city, even if it does undermine it. We have,
Okay.
You were part of the lengthy conversation we had today with our attorney and the two attorneys at MIRMA regarding MMC.
Yes,
It's a very interesting conversation, but at the end of the day, we're okay, we're good.
Well, because I knew that John Russell had sent that email wanting a description, and I gave him a better description of the line. So,
Okay.
and I know Myrma was the one that asked for a better description on that. So, but yeah, that was my concern. So we do have a water and sewer line underneath that building also. So, and just with it happening at Missouri Metalcraft, it's
So I take it you capped it or
kept what?
capped the line that's under
At Missouri Metalcraft?
now?
Right now we have the valve off.
Okay.
We have cut the line. Whatever the rupture was underneath the building is still taking the water that's still underneath there and it's coming back into the hole. So I am letting it drain before we continue on because I can't backfill it right now anyway.
Right.
It was 3:30. We went ahead and pulled off the job, barricaded it off. So if you go by there, you'll see a big hole. We will get back there, and it's about 9 foot deep.
So is there a plan to like cap it off before it gets to the building?
Yeah, there's a valve, and we're gonna pull the mechanical joint off of that valve, and we're gonna put a mechanical joint plug in the valve.
Okay. Cool.
So yes.
The current line is being abandoned.
Right.
They have no plans on using it. The city is going to cap it on
Before it even gets
the
in the
other
building.
side of the valve.
Yeah.
So if someone comes along 20 years from now, turns the valve on, it won't do anything.
Yeah, there's a 10-foot section of that pipe missing in between the valve and the building right now anyway, so it can't do anything.
The Murma's determination was doing that benefits the public. For us doing that, there might be some concern of why are we doing that. That was the reason we got them involved. Should we even be there? The determination of these legal minds was that it is a benefit to the public to correct that, cap that, and prevent anything happening in the future. The water loss is expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, the water loss is expensive. Anything else, sir?
No, not unless somebody has something else for me.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for your
George.
time.
Thank you.
Electric?
You all have my reports. We're working on a punch list for the industrial park transformer. We're waiting on some parts for that. And, Ward 1, there's a little, under, bullet point K.
I noticed that.
What was that? What was that?
Bullet point K,
Hit by
Ward
a
1.
truck.
My hand.
We had a pad mount transformer and, it got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
On a lawnmower.
Oh,
On
geez.
the lawnmower?
Lawnmower. And pushed the transformer kind of askew off the pad. Chris Whelan went over there and put it back in shape. And, I made a report to, police department.
So was he cutting the grass or on the way home from the bar?
He borrows a lawnmower and mows whatever gets in his way.
Oh, gosh.
Because we had a temporary wire over there and he ended up mowing the temporary wire while Damon was trying to build, the other duplexes over there. So That's just interesting.
I
Damn
wonder
life
if
of
this
the
is the
electric
same
department.
person I saw over the laundry man almost lawnmower.
Do you think that would have been a shocking experience the first time?
He's been lucky a couple of times, so.
Yeah.
Did
No,
you
I
mention,
don't know.
did you mention where we were at, calendar-wise or time-wise on the industrial, park substation?
I ordered the connectors for the wires going into the top, and, that was 2 weeks ago, and they are 4 to 5 weeks out. So we got a couple more weeks for that. We gotta build the brackets to hold the arresters that we had acquired from Hannibal. I'd like to thank Hannibal for Public Works for giving us those arresters for on the secondary side. There's a couple other things. There's a opening on the roof at, we need to build a little doghouse or something over top of that to keep varmints out of it.
Okay.
And, it's just your normal punch list of just stuff that needs to be wrapped up.
Well, I don't
We're
know,
working on it as,
I don't know that anyone could have foreseen all of these additional requirements, so, we'll just keep
we'll
moving
at it.
forward and get it done as fast as we possibly can. I noticed in here, in this, are you getting ready to talk about the switches?
Yes, we can.
Okay, what's going on with this? Is this two quotes for the same thing?
I only received 2 quotes.
That's fine.
The one from Gray Bar is $8,500, and the one from Fletcher Reinhardt is $89.80.
So, I would like, go
Both
ahead.
identical switches, just
Right.
different companies make the same type of switch.
If one of these numbers looks really familiar, the 8980, the reason why it looks familiar is because we presented this to the board a couple, 2 or 3 meetings ago. It was misrepresented by the mayor. It was switches for this purpose. And these are on the, what do you call that area down there?
Well, these switches are for the redundancy to take place of the SCADA switch that was.
Status switches, right,
That was broke.
right.
One of them was broke on east border and East Summer.
Right.
In the alley there. And the other one's at the end of South Davis and Lawn Street. And we're going to replace those with these. To operate these, we'd have to shut down everything, throw it in, and go back and turn on the transformer. For our redundancy, that way we're feeding back and forth.
When I presented these to the board, I informed the board that these were the lightning arresters that we need to have for the industrial substation, which the board approved spending $8,980 for what I proposed, what I told you they were.
So you
However,
tell us we're gullible?
shocking as it might be, I made an error.
And we do.
We do have the
We
arresters.
do have some.
What did you
but
pay for those?
We didn't pay anything.
They were
Julian said
free.
No deal.
They were
They're
free.
just from Hannibal Ford Public Works.
Right.
But they're not the proper size, but they will get us by. So I'm still wanting to buy
Okay,
the regular ones.
right.
That way they'll be there, and when we schedule an outage or whatever, we can pop these in, pop them out, and be.
So let's get quotes for
fully
those.
protected.
Let's get quotes for those, if you
Okay.
can, and then we'll present that to the board, when those come in. These status switches are actually part of the 5-point plan that I discussed that we put together with, MPUA to correct these issues that we have, to give us redundancy, to give us reliability. And so, what we are asking the board to do is to reapprove that expenditure for one or the other of these 2 quotes. The lowest quote is $8,500, which is $480 cheaper than the ones you previously approved that was misstated, and it's from Gray Bar. And so I would ask the board, I would ask for a motion or entertain a motion to approve the purchase of these these switches from Gray Bar at a cost of $480 less than you approved last time.
So moved.
You approved it, but I have to come back and tell you that what I asked you to approve is not what
Right, it's a
I said it
different
was.
description. Yeah.
And just a quick restatement, as you basically said, and I think I heard you say it too, there's no reason not to take the cheaper quote in this case.
Because they're exact same thing.
Exact same pieces, right? Okay, so
Absolutely
yeah,
same
I'll make a
piece.
motion that we approve the $8,500 for the switches from Gaybar.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the switches from Gray Bar at a price of $8,500. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the stator switches from Gray Bar for $8,500. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
I had a visit from a vendor, it was about, you all have heard me talk about the chicken switch, that we can operate the breakers from the other room, remote control, instead of standing in front of these panels and energizing any of these that could blow open the door. And the only thing those foil suits are good for is a corpse. But in that conversation, I had these, and I was going to wait till I could just put it in the budget because it's rather pricey. And but in the same conversation with the guy from CBS Arts, they says the replacements. He told us that the cabinets are in great shape. The breakers are questionable because of just age and not being able to get parts, but they have horizontal breakers that can wheel right into those. And I'm thinking down the road that we replace those breakers with the horizontals, plus we do a total rewire to upgrade all those circuits to the riser poles. It's still going to be way cheaper than doing the other project, but that's something that we can look at in the future.
When we were putting together our plan with MQA, addressing those relays, is that the correct terminology? Breakers. Addressing those breakers was part of that. It was the very last part of that plan. It was addressing the most critical issues first. And so I would encourage you to go ahead and capture information. You can certainly wait and put it in the budget, but you can also inform the board ahead of time what those costs will be if you have more than one potential supplier, so we can get the best price as fast as possible.
The ones we have now weigh 800 pounds and they got to go up. And the new horizontals that we want, or if we so decide, they move across instead of vertical.
So it's an 800-pound lift to turn them on.
The ones that we have now, yes.
How do you lift them?
It's spring loaded and vacuum. Well, some of them are vacuum.
But it's also across your fingers that it doesn't.
Oh, that it actually goes up and in.
Well, and that it doesn't.
But if something's wrong inside that breaker, I don't want to be standing there twisting the switch like I have been for the past years.
Because yeah, it would be.
But with the chicken switch,
It's so you can do it from
it's $6,500 for the switch that would.
For each breaker?
No.
Oh, total?
It's mobile.
Oh, it's mobile. Oh, that's cool.
You just take the magnet, move it in there, have the cord or the remote, go in the other room, or step outside and shut it off.
That sounds like a bargain.
And we also have
compared to
remote racking.
Compared to what could happen.
Yes.
They also have remote racking, which means you're raising this breaker up into the spot to actually put it in, but the chicken switch is to activate the breaker. So even though we're raising it up and we're doing this with an electric motor, we're still standing there holding a switch to activate the worm gear to raise this up into position. Now, if something's wrong with the bus inside or that breaker and it grounds and shorts and goes through, then you still have a firewall.
So let's
So you would
step
still-
back. Go ahead.
Be protected in that case by a firewall in it?
Firewall.
Oh.
Now, our
Because when we're racking
flashes,
in, that door has to be open because you gotta run the switch with the door open.
NFPA arc flash is a very serious
Yeah.
issue in industry and manufacturing. The required safety equipment is absolutely positively not an option unless you want a significant fine from OSHA when they do an inspection. Now, you said you place that on your budget?
I would, if we can put it off till the budget time. But if we
Is there more than one?
if we
Is there
wanna
more?
do it a piece at a time, do the chicken switch for now, do the racking switch for later, and there's another piece also for over in the substation also. And they're all gonna run about that same.
What would the safest option be? As far as
I would
timing?
like to see the chicken switch now,
How much is it?
$6,500.
Do you have more than one quote?
I can.
Could you please go out and go a competitive quote
Well,
and consider presenting it to the board?
Yeah.
I take a very different approach to safety issues. There are a lot of things that are optional, and the timing can be moved or stretched or whatever. You can put it off and kick the can down the road, as George said. When it comes to safety, to me, it's very, very important. It takes a very high priority for me from a management perspective because the safety of our associates is paramount.
Just got a quick question. You know, MIRMA's all about safety
And,
in our city. Have you looked into the grant to see if that would qualify?
There's a opening spot in there that I talked to Jeff about this, and he said that we could, it's not in the list of things that we can get, but there's an open slot in there that you can suggest this,
Let's do it.
and, somewhere there's I forget what he said.
They allow so much per year for items requested that are on their sheet of allowed.
Yeah.
Grant.
We'll certainly investigate that.
Yep.
And see if we can make that happen, but the end result should be that we obtain the equipment we need to operate safely.
Really, I have one quick question, and this is just out of the blue, but I've noticed that several security lights, street lights, I don't know how to replace them, repair them, I don't know how to fix them, but for instance, a block and a half from where I live, there's just one that it glows orange all the time, then it fades out, then it goes off.
Oh, yeah?
It stays off for 15, 20 seconds, then it gradually gets warm again, comes
That's
back.
bad bulb, that's one.
I wonder where she finds the time to watch this.
Well, if I sit on my deck at night, it's great.
Oh, okay. Well,
Is
that's
that-
how,
Text me the address, we'll go.
Okay, I didn't know if we keep streetlights, if we have to order streetlights.
You all just bought me a skid of new LED
Oh,
ones.
well, there's
And I
another.
Greatly appreciate that.
you're gonna get a
And,
new
I got
one.
two.
And
I got
You'll
two.
get two.
But if,
Okay,
you know, I'm not fooling around at night.
yeah, no, I get it.
No, one in the
But
alley.
but I do, when I'm coming in from Hannibal and I see the streetlights out in front of the high school that we've been having problems with.
I think
I
there's
think we
one,
got that resolved.
I thought those were the state's responsibility.
No, those are our poles.
oh, from the high school, that one.
Those poles are 10
You're
feet in the
not so
ground.
generous. What's your expectation?
Way deeper than
No,
anything.
that's what he
that we've
says.
ever-
Oh, thank
It's
you
a long time
for
ago.
that
Those
information,
were
sir.
put in, yeah, those were put in way before I was along.
Yeah.
So I see that we had a drunk and then we had a squirrel that caused yeah, it's.
At least it wasn't drunk squirrel.
I will have you know that I received a text message over the weekend informing me of an outage on Benton, and it said specifically that Mr. Squirrel didn't make it.
No skin off my back, I have a
We
problem.
have had a squirrel over on Front Street. We come up on it, it blew the fuse, the squirrel was laying at the bottom of the pole, and Chris Whelan started
Oh, no, he
pushing on his
didn't.
chest, and that squirrel came back to
You
life.
did CPR and squirrel?
Oh,
He didn't give him,
no.
he didn't give him rescue breath, but he did do the CPR.
Well, I hope he learned
And he
his
got up
lesson.
and ran away.
This actually happened.
Have you guys seen
Is
the,
that truth? They should tell
the
me.
animal guards
said it
that they
actually
have on the poles along 36?
The black stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
that's for squirrels not to be able to run up.
Is that helpful?
It keeps the outages down.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't know if you've ever done any of them to try them or, yeah. You don't have that many caused by critters that
yeah, I don't,
Yeah,
it's just another cost that we would have to.
yeah.
What does this go to? This piece?
I think it's just.
I think that's just a random thing
Reused
they made
paper.
in there. I know the same thing.
It was kind of random in some of this.
I think they just reused the paper.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's like-
Oh, okay, scrap paper.
I recycle.
That's fine.
Oh, that's good, thank you. It was in my board packet, I was like, that's
We're
fine.
gonna flip everything
That's
over.
trash.
and-
I thought.
I just take a highlight, cause I do that too, and I just go through the old stuff, so I know not to look at the size and stuff.
So you making progress on getting the AMI meters out?
We're working on that also. We're trying to do a little bit of everything. So AMIs are coming along.
We're ready for them whenever you're
We stop.
to that point.
We stop a week before meter reading, because we don't want to do that.
Do you have enough meters to finish?
I think we do.
Okay,
Don't hold me to that, but I think we do.
cause it takes a little while to get them in, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it's not,
Okay, cool.
Not horrible.
not that horrible.
Okay, let's move on to gas department. Nothing. Street department, I think it's in the reports are in the packet. Airport. Mr. Bruckman contacted me. He said that he had been unable to find another airport that wanted to share a load. And a load, I believe, don't quote me on this, and I can't give you exact numbers because I didn't bring the right notepad with me, but it's 8,000 gallons at $4 and $4.40, $4.80. I can't remember the exact number.
8,000-gallon tanker load of fuel.
Huh?
8,000-gallon tanker load of fuel.
Okay, what do you got? It's aviation fuel.
Mhm.
Yeah, up to the order of 8,000 gallons.
I think it was somewhere around. I think it was somewhere around $38,000. And he wanted to know if we wanted to do that, and and I said, I will bring it to the board's attention.
He says he's almost out though, right?
On,
He's running low, he
yeah,
said.
on Monday, he was at 2,800.
And Oshkosh is coming.
Say it again, sir.
On Monday, he was at 2,800
Okay,
gallons.
okay, I'm following you now.
And Oshkosh is coming up, which is huge.
Yeah.
For
last
them.
weekend.
What's our storage capacity? If you don't have it, that's okay.
I mean, I would imagine that it would handle it. Well, I guess see if it's available.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be two questions, like what's our capacity, and then my other question would be like, what's our normal usage? Because if we're gonna use this within a reasonable time frame, we're making money back, and so, yeah, we had paid money up front to get it back. But on the other hand, wouldn't wanna spend for like 2 years worth, I don't think it'd be that big a number.
I can't answer that
No,
question.
it hasn't been.
I mean, if he's worried about it when we're at 2,700, obviously we're using, you know, at a
He
fairly
said-
reasonable rate, so he wouldn't be worried about
We
it.
have around
I think we
2,800 gallons in the tank, and he would like permission to order fuel as soon as we get below 2,000 gallons. By
Right.
that time,
Which
I
doesn't
may be
take
able
long.
to find someone to share with.
Okay,
If not, we will have to order a full 8,000 gallons.
so is that going to be a request that happens like in the middle of the afternoon, we ran below 700, we need to act now?
Below
Do we
2,000,
need
you
to,
mean?
do we need to seek,
I don't know.
emergency approval from the board now if that happens? And we can't find, if between now and when we run out, we can't find a partner to purchase a half a load, which is 4,000 gallons, and our only alternative is to run out or purchase 8,000, what do we want to, what would we consider?
Do we wanna make a motion that says if they get to 2,000 gallons, make an order, hopefully try to get a partner. If not, go ahead and allow them to do the 8,000.
Then Ed, can we afford it?
They take a check? Oh.
It's a lot of money, I'm sure they can, I mean, we don't have accurate financials right now, so I can't answer that.
I do remember Jill saying they make about 70-some cents a
The-
gallon. But like Craig said,
Just
it's
depends on what it is.
how
the price
far,
of the
you
time
s-
they get it.
how fast can
Yeah.
you sell it?
We charge more for it obviously than we do. I think probably you're looking at, I don't think it'll take 2 years. I think it'll all be gone in a year. The one thing I do want to bring to your all's attention, and I'm not sure why I think it's important, but I do. If you look at our budget, the way our budget is formatted, and you look at airport, and you look at what it says is spent at the airport annually, please understand that on that budget, the way it's formatted, you will see that we spent $30,000 or $40,000 every year for fuel. He can tell us what the number is. But what you don't see is the revenue from the fuel sales,
Oh,
because it goes right into general revenue fund.
Right, yes.
what do you want to ask them?
Sorry, I've got you on speakerphone. What's the capacity of that fuel tank?
I forgot about that meeting. I'm out here mowing grass.
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
yeah. What's the capacity of that fuel tank out there? Yeah, I got about every other word.
So you're right, it shows expensive.
Check your
fuel,
messenger.
But it doesn't show the,
The money we make back off of.
right.
Right, because it comes in as a
And-
separate
and-
line
and if
item.
you're just, if you don't, not aware
Hey.
of that, you go, whoa.
Yeah,
But really, we're not spending a whole lot of money on the
No.
airport every year.
Yeah, what's the
No.
capacity of that tank?
Because I have to admit, the first time, 3 times I looked, I'm going, wow. Now I started really looking at it, I'm going, we purchased the fuel, where did it go? We sold it. Well, where'd that money go? It went in general revenue. Awesome.
Hello? Yeah. 10,000 gallons total. Okay,
So we can't
He's
put in
talking
8,000.
2,700,
now,
okay,
about
so we
2,000.
have to wait until it's down to 2,000 to be like anything. So would have to wait until we're down to 2,000 to get anything.
What's the 4,000 split load?
Before we can take a full load, yeah. Okay,
can we do smaller than 8,000?
Where's the pricing difference?
Oh,
okay. How long did it take us to go through that last load roughly? Got it in December.
Is the pricing different for a smaller quantity?
Is the pricing different with a smaller quantity versus a full quantity? So you pay the freight for the
You
full
do.
load, whether you get a full or a half a load.
See, yeah.
So then it is cheaper to get the full load. I
Yes.
mean, by like how much roughly you think? Yeah. But there is a difference though, so.
No, I know, sometimes it's pretty
Okay.
significant.
And from the time you order it to the time you get it, how long are we talking, like just a few days or? Okay. Okay, cool, that's good information, thank you. $70 today, okay. But next week is Oxcart. Yeah. And that usually brings the masses. Okay. No, that would be embarrassing. Oh, okay, so that's gonna bring it down even faster. Okay. Oh, you're fine. I got the information I need. Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, so Hannibal right now is having trouble with theirs, and they're sending people to here to get fuel, so that's gonna bring it down even faster. He sold 70 gallon today,
Where's he at right now on the level?
about 27, probably about 2,600 roughly, I would guess. But Oshkosh is next week,
If he puts the order in, by the time they actually get here,
2 to 3 days,
he's gonna be at 2,000 probably.
And the last load he got was when?
December. So he went through it in 7 months,
Through the winter.
and that was through the winter.
Spring's a lot more active, summer's
Was
a lot
that a
more
full
active.
load that he got in
Yes,
December, 8,000?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Was it? Well, you pay the same freight regardless if it's a full or a half. So,
Sometimes they'll even charge.
Well, I mean, it sounds like they use it on a regular basis and we
Yeah.
come back, so I'll make a motion that we approve them to be able to refill. Oh, you wanna?
May I bring up a question? If they don't find a partner that is close to us, we're paying freight for a half a load from there to here anyway.
yeah,
What? Say that again.
if we have to get a full load, the freight is the same.
I understand that. But when we split a load with someone else,
Don't we?
the transportation has to go to them and then come to us.
Or is it a
So
flat
the
rate?
distance traveled,
What do they?
He had someone specific in mind as a partner though, right? That's in the area.
Somebody up in Iowa, I think.
Oh, so that's not really
you
close.
see where I'm going with
Is
this?
it a
But
flat rate?
I dream of a level more trucking rates than I do. It's like a one trip or something. Or...
Yeah, my guess is they don't like doing half loads, and that's why they charge the same freight. I mean,
Well, I realize that, but if you have to travel up to Iowa to dump 4,000 gallons and drive to Monroe City, Missouri, dump the other four, something doesn't make sense. Or either that, I need to buy a truck and a tank.
I know if I buy lime
Hmm?
and we can't hold a full 50,000 pound load, if I wanted to say 25,000 pounds, half of it, they charge me exactly the same. It's like
Really?
it's
because
like
they have to
a
stay in there.
standard base rate.
Go back to your
We
motion.
got a motion on the floor.
I'll make a motion that we authorize them to purchase a full load of gas if they.
is that gas if they,
Aviation
full load of
fuel.
gas if they get below 2,000, once they get below 2,000.
Just, we got this, I second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor on the second to allow the airport to purchase a full load of aviation fuel if they're unable to find a partner to do a split load when they reach 2,000 gallons or less. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please notify Mr. Buckman. It'll be in the meeting. We'll let Mike do it. Next on the agenda is Mosswood. Moving right along, pool.
I got Mosswood.
What?
Mosswood.
Yes.
They're requesting permission for use. It should be in your packet.
I don't have it.
It's hiding.
I
All
got
it's-
the one that was emailed out.
They're having a 4-day scramble,
He added a bunch of stuff.
and
It's a
they're
farm.
requesting, our permission to use the golf course for this event, because they are applying for a temporary picnic license. And in order to do that, they just need a written, request for a written notice from the city, since we own the
Oh,
property.
get a picnic license.
I did get in touch with, Myrna, asking them, explain to them what the situation was. They responded and said that they need to provide us a hold harmless agreement, certificate of insurance with the endorsements, and, he said, once all that's done, it'd be up to us, or up to you all if you want to, allow them to use it. So I did talk to Grant at Mosswood, and I told him the same thing. I sent him all the information, and I didn't know if this was something you all would be interested in approving, a permission pending the
Contingent.
required documentation.
So why do they need a picnic license? They don't have a liquor license, right? You don't know,
I'm not,
you don't know, they don't have a liquor license.
Mosswood doesn't have a hardened liquor license.
I don't think a picnic license.
they're applying for a temporary picnic license.
Now, if we provide the liquor, it's covered under Murray. If they provide it, it's not.
Well, we're not sponsoring the event, the city
No,
is
this
Right,
is
that's what I'm
sponsoring the
saying.
event.
I don't,
They
I mean,
need
I guess if they need
pay.
it, they need it. This is for the foreman? Is this what
Yeah.
that is for?
Mhm.
And they need a picnic license on top of their regular liquor license.
That makes no sense.
This
I
is
don't
something
understand
that's
that,
new.
because what makes that any
It
different?
might be because, not setting on the board anymore, but it might be because liquor will be sold out on the course, sold. The only thing I can think of, as opposed to.
Oh.
Of just in the
Oh.
building.
Oh, no, can't imagine.
I know, I think.
Why-
Because what's
whatever-
different than
whatever
like
they
the
want.
street strolls and all of the other vendors that sell out of their food trucks, how come they aren't?
I have to get a liquor, or a picnic liquor license for like when we do Billy's and beer, because I don't have a, DTNC doesn't have a liquor license, but
Interesting.
So, Mosswood's the applicant.
I guess.
Mosswood's the applicant.
They are the
So
sponsor.
this is
They're
a
sponsoring the event.
license from the state.
And what's
Yeah.
the date of it?
Number
They have,
8 on
it's for the
this
foreman,
checklist
that's what I'm
is-
saying, there's a foreman scramble flyer in here. They sent an email and asked for,
Yeah.
Aren't there two levels of liquor license? Forgive me if I'm stupid on this.
Well, it does say in this application
That is specific.
that if there's multiple stands, that each stand requires a separate license.
okay, so maybe
So
there's
that
some.
might be the
And
issue, is that
so
they're gonna
we
sell,
packaged liquor at Mosswood as opposed to open container liquor by the drink? We
It
have
doesn't
pack-
specify.
We have packaged license.
Picnic,
The application for a picnic license.
whatever, they want it, so I guess we don't have to know why, right?
That's true.
Sorry, I asked.
Yeah.
well, no, I mean, no, good question, maybe like what they were, but yeah. it
But
sounds
then
like
that begs the
basically-
question, like you said, if they need it, does the street patrol need it?
No,
We don't
we
have
didn't
sell
liquor
liquor.
at street strolls, folks.
But if they wanted to, they would.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we need is a motion to, allow the mayor,
for the city to grant permission to Mosswood Meadows to use the facility pending.
contingent upon a,
Well, what they're gonna need in this picnic liquor license is a signed letter from you, from the
Yeah.
mayor stating that it is okay,
right,
that we are aware that they're going to be using our property to sell.
and we will not do that unless we receive a sign hold harmless certificate of insurance, which must include liquor liability coverage, the appropriate additional insured endorsement, which would be the liquor liability coverage, and that's it. And so it has to be contingent upon that. we have to receive proof of that before we sign it. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the mayor to sign such a contingent upon.
Murmur requirements.
Yeah.
Basically that you meet the Monroe requirements.
That's right,
That's
okay.
in my, is meet
So
the conditional and the Monroe requirements.
We have a motion on the floor to allow the mayor to approve the permission request from Mosswood contingent upon Mosswood providing the MIRMA required documentation.
I'll second.
We have a second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
You have it.
No,
You
no,
have
I
their
don't think.
You have their lease agreement, you have their insurance coverage, you should have. And I know you've got their lease agreement and their contract for services. All of that holds, the contract holds the city permits, I promise you that.
But I think the thing is that there's some insurance
I
in
sent
here.
him a hold harmless today, which outlines everything that's required.
Okay, good enough. So where was I?
Nothing, we're done.
We passed the motion.
We're done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mosswood comes to us.
Motion's approved. Joe Biden moment.
Oh,
I heard
said
that.
that out loud.
What?
Nothing, not laughing at you.
Oh.
Still qualifies to be president.
Still qualifies you to be mayor.
That's right. Anybody can be mayor.
He's done listening to us.
He is.
Next on the agenda is presentation of bills and approval of payments under tab 11.
I didn't see anything that looked out of order.
I didn't too.
I didn't either.
What do you have, Mike?
I'd like to see this $853 oil filter.
It was a STP oil filter.
For turbines.
Yeah, it seems a little.
Where's that
That
at?
also included the
Turbines.
repair for an AC unit with,
I had a feeling,
I like
yeah.
Turtle I mean,
I had a feeling it was more.
Only $6,900 total.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, wow, that's
Lid.
a pretty nice filter.
2014 what?
It says that this is.
Thanks,
This
George.
is fire department.
2014
No,
Ford
fire department.
for the fire.
Did you have another one? Is that good too?
The UMB charges, the admin card charges, is that part of the fees we're already collecting for credit card payments?
This is actually
The cars.
department purchases, like it would be like
purchase.
for gas, electric,
Oh.
everybody.
Okay, cool.
UMB credit cards?
yep.
How many do we have?
Two.
Can those be used for fuel in an emergency?
Well, one just has $1,000 limit and the other one is an $80,000 limit. They could, there's no name attached to them other than City of Monroe City.
Who holds those cards?
We do.
They
They're
are,
kept in our seat.
So it's not
Right.
something after hours if, no.
we can certainly have that conversation at some
And we
point
have
in
a
time. I
log.
think
that
Oh, okay.
people
Get a little
use
more
when they're
information.
using it. How much is it flavor?
And then UMB stuff.
No.
No,
we're
it's
No,
not.
I didn't realize what that was. Oil filter was $4.
Sounds a lot
that's
more
quite a
than
margin.
normal.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
0.2 hours was $13. So that seems pretty cheap. 13.
And the food charges.
You
said they weren't all.
65, yeah.
I can run down and grab one.
Air seat compressor water pump. Yeah, that's the expensive part.
So it's okay?
Yep.
Anything else have those?
You need a motion to approve?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to approve accounts payable. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve accounts payable. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or no. Motion carries. Bills are approved. Any new business?
No.
Any unfinished business?
What is this non-disclosure agreement?
Ma'am?
The NDA.
The NDA was on the agenda, one of the original agendas that was presented. And after discussion with our representatives at MIRMA, we made a determination to not do that because it could potentially impinge upon the right to work situation we have in Missouri and could imply a contractual agreement with an associate. So what we have chosen to do instead is we will be conducting departmental meetings discussing confidentiality of customer information and other information that may be available if requested by a citizen or anyone in the public, because it's public information. And also the fact that we would honor that if those requests are made, where we are required to honor those. However, that it was unnecessary to broadcast or otherwise publish it if not requested by an individual. So we're not suggesting that we will do anything incorrect, but it's not necessary or helpful or beneficial to just go tell the public everything you know. Because, sometimes we have conversations that do contain information that is both personal and public at the same time, but it would require a correctly worded and submission of a request to get it. And we had something happen that was very unfortunate. I'm not going to go into it, but it was unnecessary, unhelpful, and unneeded, even though that information may have been made available upon specific request as part of the Sunshine Law. So I'm not saying we won't do that. I'm just saying that situation was very embarrassing and was unnecessary. So that was removed. Any other unfinished business that you're aware of? We had planned on going to closed session upon discussion with MIRMA's associates today. We have determined that we will address the